There is perhaps no better way of knowing how a franchise in entertainment is doing than how it's doing in merchandise, because long after the movie is over, after the credits have rolled, after the show has ended for the season, the toys still remain, and kids are playing with them. They're role-playing and pretending that they are that character. There is no greater brand loyalty, perhaps than maybe having a tattoo or something permanently affixed to your figure, than sitting there and playing with action figures and toys and dolls and all of those things that kids do. And yet we are watching right now as something remarkable is happening to the Walt Disney Company. No, we're not here to just be mean to Disney, but they're the biggest kid on the block, and they have come down many, many, many notches. And now, in the toy aisle, they're losing said notches. We'll tell you right now why Disney is not feeling top shelf this holiday season. Hello folks, what a wonder it is to have you here with us. We are so appreciative that you choose to share your time with us each and every day. It is such a meaningful thing that we try to do here, and no, we are not here to just harp on Disney all the time. But we are coming to you, I suppose, at an interesting point in history for entertainment at least, and that is that we're watching the behemoth of all companies in terms of entertainment, the Walt Disney Company, falling from grace in a way that is remarkable. And they're doing so along partisan and ideological motivations. And that's having real impact. And so we report on that quite often because, well, it's the biggest story out there. How could you not report on a company losing 60% of its total value in about 2 years? And all along the means by which it happened is they said, well, why don't we put ourselves in the middle of the culture war? Now they want out. Go figure, right? Well, one of the reasons they want out is because they are losing, apparently, retail space inside the big box retailers this holiday season. Now, that is a dramatically big situation for the Walt Disney Company. You might look at movies flopping and say, oh, that's a horrible thing. You might look at TV shows having poor ratings. You might say, oh, wow, they can't go on. Really, the toys, though. Watch the toys, because that is a massive money-making machine. And that machine is diminished greatly. We're going to talk about it right now. We're going to tell you how we know this, why we know this, why we think this. We're going to do it with an expert panel that you can't miss. Let's dive in. All right, well, let's get to this exclusive scoop. Jonas, do we have any breaking news audio that we can play that would really, since we don't have that Chiron at the bottom, all the way. All right, folks, we've got exclusive breaking. That was National Geographic. Did you just do the Nat Geo sound?
I have no idea.
You
never know what's banging around in my head up here.
You never know. 54% of you out there right now saying to bring back the little words at the bottom of the screen that play across. We'll find out how that vote goes at the end, and that will determine how the show goes from henceforth. But it's time to now go to breaking news. Folks, we have a scoop. Whoa, there it is. We have a scoop regarding big box retailers. I have a contact that works with one of those big box retailers. And that individual has given us some information that we cannot verify here on the channel because we don't work for said big box retailer. We're also not going to specify exactly which big box retailer this is, lest they be found out. However, this individual has sent us information regarding the alleged layout of holiday toy sales starting November 7th and running through the new year. Now, here's what we've got. Basically, we talked about this in the last pro show, but we didn't have the full numbers. We want to tell these to you now. Aisles in these big box retailers are broken down into columns. And so if you walk down the aisles of these big stores, you're going to see that the aisles are actually subdivided out. And so we've got now exactly the allocation of columns within these aisles for each big toy brand that's out there. Now, why do we care about this? I mean, we're not world-class BSers, which covers toys in depth like this. Well, we care about it because we have reported in the past that Disney is likely seeing a reduction in terms of the allocation for Disney merchandise. And that's another indicator that Disney is suffering. So here's what we've got. Follow along as I call out the toy brands at this big box retailer for November 7th until the end of the year and the number of columns that we have been told will be allocated to them. Here's what we've got. Transformers is receiving 1 column. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, 2 columns. Marvel, 1 column. Jurassic Park, 2 columns. DC Comics, 1 column. Star Wars, 1 column. Wrestling, 1.5 columns. Nintendo and Sega combined, 1 column. Miscellaneous video games, 2 columns. That's Minecraft, Five Nights at Freddy's,
Fortnite.
Fortnite. Yeah, it's just any of those potpourri of video games. Something called LOL Surprise, a girl's brand, 3 columns. Disney Princesses, 4 columns. Now, remember that one. Everybody keep that in your head because that's going to matter in just a moment. My Life, whatever that is, 1 column. Honeybee Acres, whatever that is, half a column. Polly Pocket, didn't know they still made those, half a column. Trolls, half a column. My Little Ponytails, half a column. Harry Potter, a quarter of a column. Care Bears, a quarter of a column. Monster High, 1 column. Here's the thing. Remember back to when we talked about Disney Princesses, right? We said Disney Princesses, 4 columns. Barbie, 6 columns. Lego, 8 columns. And here's the big one, folks. According to this source, this is where the news happens, all right? We had to go through all this. I know some people out there are like, oh my gosh, columns. It feels like we're playing a bad game of Tetris. But here's where the news happens. According to this source, although we cannot verify it, Disney is paying for 2 end caps at said big box retailer. And the 2 end caps, that's the significant space on the end of the shelf. Those 2 end caps are Encanto. Now, Encanto came out last holiday season. What does that mean? It means that there is no significant support for Wish, that's the animated film coming out, and there's no significant merchandise support for the Marvels. 0 on the Marvels. You'll see some Wish stuff, but it's going to be mixed in with the other stuff. They're betting the bank on Encanto, a film from last year. They're not betting on their new stuff. The big box retailers may not want to bet on the new stuff. And the other thing to make note of, Barbie, the big hit of the year, significantly outplaying Disney princesses. Consider for a moment all the different Disney princesses. You've got Moana, you've got Cinderella, you've got Ariel, you've got Belle, all of them, right? Barbie, just Barbie, is beating all of them. Barbie. And that is worth taking note of.
Barbie gets 32 linear feet by 8 feet tall in that configuration because
you know way more about retail space than I do. I did not know the exact size of columns.
Yeah,
well played, Coach.
Yeah. So each of your sections can either be 3 or 4 feet. If it's the big boxer I'm thinking of, it's a 4 foot width, and 8 foot high. That includes all the fixturing between the shelves and the pegboard and everything else that's there.
Call that again. Call that out again, please, Culture. Call those numbers out.
So it can be usually fixtures are either 3 foot or 4 foot. If it's the one I'm thinking of, the big box, because I'm thinking about the layout of their toy aisle as you were going through there. So those are usually 4 by 8s. They could be 4 by 6s or they could be 4 by 4s. But in that big box retail, they're likely 4 by 8s. So you have like top stock on the top, and then you have everything else down below. And they basically broke out 32 linear feet by 8 feet high of Barbie merch, right?
Yes. Well, now Barbie is Barbie, Skipper, Chelsea, right? And Barbie cars and all that stuff. There's going to be an entire aisle of nothing but pink Barbie wonder.
Well,
Michelle,
the pink
go ahead, Culture.
So I'm sorry about that.
No, Culture, go ahead.
Oh no, the pink aisle's always been a real thing. It doesn't matter if it's either of the giant box stores. I mean, that's normal. So 6 columns, again, I did my math wrong. It's 24 feet. 6 times 4 is, yeah, 6 times 4. Yeah.
So but 24 feet of Barbie inventory is what you're suggesting.
Yeah, linear feet. So it's insane, you know, and to hear as little amount of Disney merch on the shelves other than the 2 front end caps that they bought, that's crazy. Anyway,
Michelle, you've taken note of the success of Barbie this year. Does it surprise you that retailers are devoting so much space to Barbie and to these other items too? I mean, we look at these girl items. When you start adding this up, you know, you've got Barbie with 6 columns. You've got let's see here. You've got Polly Pocket with half, Trolls with half. But you know, I don't know what OMG or LOL Surprise is. I don't know what any of that.
They're little tiny collectibles. A lot of them are in blind. They're not blind bags, but they're like little orbs that you can crack them open. They're big on social media, and they're very popular in California.
And My Life, whatever My Life is, and Monster High.
That's a kind of a Bratz doll with more of a gothic feel to them. Again, heavy on the girl branding there. So.
Michelle, what do you make of the idea that Disney, it's so girl centric, and yet it's now a minority in terms of total aisles given to this big box retailer for Disney merch for girls?
Well, I think concerning Barbie, that's not a surprise at all. It's kind of like Culture said. There's always been the pink aisle in any toy store you go to. In fact, that's why I kept saying all throughout this year, this movie's probably going to hit $1 billion because there really is not a male toy equivalent to Barbie. Like every girl, I mean, almost every girl in America has at least one Barbie because Barbie has just been huge my entire life and well beyond my life or before I was born. So that doesn't surprise me. The thing with Disney is a bit more surprising because that really does just kind of show loss of interest, sadly, because I mean, just even a few years ago with Tangled, with Frozen, you had a lot of sales for Disney when it came to the princess brand of girls. But I feel that they have damaged their princess line when they kind of confuse little girls by making a new Little Mermaid that looks nothing like the Little Mermaid they've known up until this point.
There's no Little Mermaid aisle. There's no Little Mermaid end cap, Michelle. Great point.
Yes, and then also now with the Snow White fiasco. So it's kind of like they're hurting their IPs that have been beloved for, I mean, for years by little girls. And it just kind of, I actually have not watched, I can't speak to the Wish movie. I've not watched the trailer, but it just kind of feels like there's zero hype to this movie. And like there must not be the magic that like say a Frozen had even just a few years ago.
Well, it's on track to perform, according to the analysts out there, at least at opening, better than Encanto, which was a box office flop. And but we'll have to wait and see. The projections still, we did a video on this earlier in the week, are still that it will flop. It's still going to make less if it holds to its projections. It's going to make less than it cost to make it.
Is there a reason why Encanto flopped? Because I feel like that did actually get buzz with that. Isn't that Encanto the one that has the song "We Don't Talk About Bruno"?
Yes, and what happened was, now Encanto, the official excuse you'll hear is that it came out during the pandemic. Of course, Spider-Man No Way Home came out in the same window and did just fine. Did better than fine. But what happened there is that families didn't go see Encanto. It came out after Turning Red. It came out after Lightyear. And so families didn't go see Encanto. And then when it hit streaming, suddenly it became a soundtrack sensation. Everybody was listening. It shot to the top on Apple iTunes, and it became a Disney Plus phenomenon. In fact, I would say it's one of the only Disney movies made for box office that actually had a subscriber impact on the service. And I think it did. Now, you guys can disagree with me and correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you're absolutely right. The numbers bear it out that Encanto still shows up on the top 10 charts on occasion, which is amazing.
And it's a fine little movie. I don't find it offensive in any way.
Then that kind of tells me that Disney had a marketing problem with that, because how did they not realize, okay, with Frozen, they knew Let It Go was the song. Like, how did you not recognize this song is going to be huge? Like, we need to kind of promote this.
Well, and they picked the song that they chose to promote, and this is crazy, was the one, what is the name of that song where they sing about the
butterflies?
The grandmother and grandfather. Yeah, the butterfly song, but what is it called in
Mariposas?
Spanish? No, they don't call it mariposas in this because it's moths. I can't think of it. Anyway. But that's what they focused on instead of any of the other songs, which were far more popular. Very strange indeed.
Yeah, I think, I mean, kind of bottom line with Disney, again, they've done damage to Ariel. They've done damage to Snow White. And then on top of that, you've just really not had anything that like, as far as the princess scene, that's really generated a lot of excitement since Frozen. I mean, Frozen 2 at this point, 2019.
Excellent points. Carrie, we have heard that Nintendo wants to try to get into Disney's space with princesses. They want to promote Princess Peach. They want to promote Princess Daisy, and they have Rosalina and these other characters that are all poised to take on the Disney princesses. Do you think that as Disney falters, it's been mostly the boy brands that have been damaged, but do you find weakness in Disney when it comes to the girl brands as well?
Oh, yes. I agree with what Michelle was saying, because what they're doing is they're attacking the princess storyline. I mean, they're going after their own IPs. They're going after Snow White. They're going after the Little Mermaid. That's the way I view it anyway.
Carrie, you know girls don't want love in their life. Come on now. Get with modernity.
They actually, you know what? I was reading an excerpt of a sermon today, where my pastor was talking about there's a reason why the movie Titanic became, it broke so many records, and I think what did it bring in at the box office? Somebody here knows. It's like a billion.
Oh
something.
yeah, more than a billion.
Yes.
Yeah,
More than a
boatload.
billion. Because he said at the heart of that, it's a story of male sacrifice to protect the woman that he loves, to protect the family. I guess you could say a stand-in for family. And at the heart of that, like every woman craves a love like that, till death do we part. And yes, I do think there's something innate about that. And even if you don't believe in a creator, I think it's baked into, evolutionarily speaking, this is how it's baked into our DNA. And I think what Disney's been trying to do is to attack this storyline. The actress who's going to be playing Snow White has been in the public eye, making many statements about, sort of poo-pooing the storyline of finding true love and about the prince and coming into the picture at all. And so, yeah, there's room for somebody else to tell a good princess story.
And Jonas, I'm
But-
assuming you're
and
showing the numbers for Titanic,
yeah,
correct?
$2.26 billion globally.
Why was that so
absolutely.
popular? It was
Yeah,
the love
it was the
story at the
romance.
heart of it. Yeah.
Romance, and then
For
the
men, we
music
watched
was
and
all
said,
about
no,
romance. And,
she dropped him to the bottom of the ocean. Why?
Yeah,
There was room on the raft, I tell you, room.
But no,
Onogitas, by
she
the way.
is right. Like I watched that movie recently, like after everything happened with, the Titanic situation. And it was like, I'm not one who likes a romance that ends tragically, but when I rewatched the movie, it was like, no, there was no other way to end the movie. Like Jack makes a conscious decision, like she's going to live a good life. And it's touching. Like it actually was moving, like because it was so sacrificial.
It's
of a love.
self-sacrificial. Yes.
It was. And I was going to say on the other pro, I handed out candy at my parents' house for Halloween, and I noticed a lot of girls. Okay, Wednesday definitely was the number one from girls.
Oh, yes.
that I saw.
Yes, totally agree with you there.
But I saw a lot of girls even dressed as Mario, and then some as Peach.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Nintendo did very well.
Mhm.
I saw a Sonic the Hedgehog. Although the poor kid, he was not very fast. It was not a good pairing, I'll tell you that. We'll leave it to your imagination on that one. But
You guys are watching Titanic wrong. That was clearly a snuff film. I mean, she literally killed that guy. That's a
he had a
horrible.
chance, Culture. He had a chance.
No, he didn't. I mean, at least, you know what she should have been charged with at least manslaughter.
There was no, reckless endangerment.
No.
The guy's
Yeah.
out there in the middle of the ocean, like hanging off of a freaking door in like 10-degree water.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, it really.
Put
I'm
over.
telling you right now, that is a horror movie.
It definitely turns into one towards the end.
Yeah,
Well-
I always do that litmus test, by the way, of what Halloween costumes are. I always go around the neighborhood trying to see what's popular. We had a ton of Marios and Luigis. We even had a Daisy. We only had one female Disney character, and that was Mirabelle. And the kid was cute. Not gonna lie. One Iron Man, one Spider-Man, and one Darth Vader. Oh wait, no, there was a Mando. So in all of that, we got like two recent Disney characters. I'll count Mando and I'll count Mirabelle as two recent Disney characters. Everything else, Stranger Things, Mario Brothers, and Sonic the Hedgehog, and Ninja Turtles.
Yes. Well, okay. That's
I've
where we
never
need to
seen
go.
them lose so much.
That's where we need to go. And I want to go to Derek to ask this question.
Here's what I found.
Because what are you guys searching out there? I heard that. Here's what I found on Disney failing. Now I know what's going on. So Derek, this is a little shocking to me, when I got this list. Now the boys stuff is much more diverse. Good job, boys. It's not just all Barbies and princesses. Again, that's going to get us in trouble. But Derek, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Jurassic Park are indeed the biggest boys franchises when we look at the distribution of toys for the holiday season. Now, neither of those are Disney, of course, And
Nope.
Jurassic Park really isn't a brand that, it's not hot at the moment, and yet it still has the most stuff out there
I
with
mean,
Teenage
it's-
Mutant Ninja Turtles doing very
it's
well.
Dinosaurs, man. Kids
Yeah.
love dinosaurs.
Absolutely. It just happens that they got the right brand that is always going to be the dinosaur brand.
Yep, that's the dinosaur brand, man. My nephew loves dinosaurs, so yeah, that's just the way it is. Yeah, I mean, the toy sales and the toy brands, it's very reflective of what's going on with a brand. When you see the toy sales and you see how it's doing and who they're pushing, that tells you everything you need to know in regards to a brand, especially when it comes to Hollywood brands, film brands. Like, okay, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, they just came out with a film that is starting to generate a lot of buzz. So yeah, that's going to be a huge brand for a lot of young boys. And then of course, dinosaurs. Yeah, that's a huge brand for little boys. But where's the Marvel stuff? They should have had Secret Invasion, I guess, out, or even the Marvels. Like the Marvels should still be a brand that attracts both boys and girls. And it seems like that's going to get, what did you say, one column, and that's it for
One
the
column.
entire. Yeah. So that tells you, what's that?
For all of them, yeah, every bit of it.
That's crazy, and toy sales have always been kind of the bread and butter of a lot of these characters when they come out. You remember back when, George Lucas basically built Lucasfilm off the strength of the toy sales of the Star Wars franchise. So you want to get those merchandising, and toy sales right. You want to get that stuff right because that extends well beyond the box office. And they haven't been able to figure that out. They haven't been able to sell. You can make sometimes more money off of the toys and off of the merch and the backpacks and the lunch boxes and everything else than you can make off of the actual film if you do it right. So I think that's the big issue right now that tells you everything about Marvel, about Star Wars, that they're only getting one little sliver of the holiday toy aisles, while Barbie is doing great because they knew who their audience was. They targeted their audience with their film. They generated $1 billion movie. Everybody's talking about it. Everybody's dressed up. I think I saw mostly Barbies for Halloween this year. I saw a lot of girls dressed as Barbie, or there was even at work. There was a team of mine at work that put together a whole Barbie ensemble. Everybody on the team was either a Barbie or a Ken. That tells you how popular the brand is. So that's basically telling me right now that, yeah, Marvel and Disney are not doing well. I'm surprised that the princess line is not doing as well as it is either. I think that's a huge mistake for Disney to just go away from what little girls like, and try to put all of this boss girl attitude in, Snow White. And that's crazy to me, man.
That's exactly what happened, though. You just explained it very easily. The reason they can't sell the princess stuff anymore is because they destroyed the princess. It's what Kiri said. It's what Michelle has said. They've wrecked the idea of the princess. And let me tell you, you start introducing some of these girls to more and more of these girl bosses, and then they aren't getting the princes, because believe me, that concept is ingrained in us. And in evolutionary biology is I think what Carrie was talking about earlier. That's what we are. I mean, we men are the protectors, providers, and women are the people that handle everything else. Believe it or not, even the money most of the time. And that's why it's always frustrating to me when Disney destroys that situation, because okay, so girls, I mean, what toys are you going to pick up now? Because naturally you're drawn to the things like the dolls and the babies and the things like that, the cooking, all these other things. And that's not the idea that you were trained to do that or any of that. The person you admire, maybe your mother, maybe she cooks, or maybe your dad cooks. It doesn't really matter, but that's something you're naturally drawn to is the caregiver. Men are engineers and women usually aren't. There's a reason for, dudes like things, toys, right? Chicks like people, dolls. I mean, it's not.
Bob the Builder. That was a big thing, right? Yeah. The toys and that kind of stuff. That's what boys want to do. We want to play, and get in and build things, and we love the Lego sets. That stuff is fun. It's it's commutative, and women, yes, they absolutely have a different way of looking at life. Period. Like you were saying. They want men that are protectors. that's why that Titanic movie did so good, because Leo sacrificed himself at the end. And that's why everybody went back and watched it like 50 times, because they love that story, how Leo sacrifices himself for this woman. He only knew her for like a day, but nevertheless, that kind of sacrificial love story that just carried over. Look how well that film did. And it's just get back to what men and women are. You know, we're men by nature. We like manly things. Women like girly things. That's just how it is. And the further away you get from that, you know, you just start ruining all of your brands. And yeah, Disney, you know, the ideology is coming before the entertainment and before reality. You know, the ideology is running afoul of reality. I've said that several times on my channel. That's the big problem when it comes to all of these brands. They have reality over here, and then they're trying to shove ideology over the reality, and the reality is rejecting it. And so go back to just saying, hey, you know what? Girls are girls, boys are girls, or boys are boys. Just let it be like that.
I'll throw this in there. I've got one daughter who is so into the princess stuff, and one daughter who is like, no, I'm going to be Link from Legend of Zelda, and she loves Katniss Everdeen, and she likes Shadow the Hedgehog, but I think she likes the bad boy aspect of him. You know, she's the adventure girl, and I've got my princess girl, and it's so amazing to watch both of them because it's not that, you know, under different circumstances she should be called a tomboy, but they're saying no, you are in fact, maybe even you're a man. No, there is a completely different thing between an adventure girl and a man.
Yeah. Well, and that's a good example too, Jonas, because I know I've discussed that actually on WDW, one of his videos. Katniss Everdeen is one of the very last truly great female heroines that Hollywood has made. Like she literally leads. A rebellion starts. Why? Because she has an act of compassion and mercy upon a girl. That is a female. That is as female as it gets. And you see that running throughout it. But I was going to say this, you know, talking about how they've damaged things. I've been thinking about, because we always talk about how Star Wars is like for the boys. And I do agree with that to an extent. The boys are what, you know, buy the toys and stuff like that. But the genius of what George Lucas did, and why it appeals, even my sister Natalie, who's the girliest of the girly girls, and she loves the original trilogy of Star Wars. The genius of what George Lucas did, yes, he gives all the stuff for the boys, and it is more male-centric, but he literally puts a princess and a love story with the princess in his trilogy. And he did that in the prequels as well. Like he definitely was very mindful of appealing to women, but he did it in a way that Disney refuses to do today.
Do you feel like Princess Leia was at all diminished by the fact that she had a romance in Star Wars, in Empire, and Jedi?
No, good gosh, no. Like that's when I was about 16 years, growing up as a kid, Return of the Jedi was my favorite. You got Luke with his green lightsaber and being a Jedi and all that stuff. As I grew up, and I guess you could say become a little more womanly, by the time I was 16, Empire Strikes Back became my favorite. Why? Because that's the romantic movie. And like that's what I love.
There's a reason they've got that Gone with the Wind post. That's the Empire poster I've got. I can't show you I'm keeping my cam off, but the Gone with the Wind style Empire Strikes Back poster. That's the good one right there.
It is. It's a good one. And think about guys. Did the romance in Star Wars like turn you off from liking it? No, like, you know, no. It was genius. It appealed to both sexes.
Yeah, it makes you fully human.
Yes.
There's nothing wrong with being fully human. And I found this quote because I was looking for what the actress who's going to play Snow White had said about it, and she was saying in her version of Snow White, she's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be. There's a reason why you don't see little girls wearing like pantsuit costumes at Halloween. Do you know what I mean? Like it's not a
happy birthday to this future president.
Right. Like I just no little girl is like putting on an aspirational fantasy of very few, I'd say, or you know, give me the pantsuit costume.
Can I point out one thing before we move on from the columns conversation?
Yes.
What are the things that Disney Animation and Pixar are going to be focusing on in the near future? And I don't see them represented in these columns. Toy Story 5, Inside Out 2, Zootopia 2, and I'm trying to think of anything, and of course Wish. None of those things are represented in what you have just described to me. So what does that say about the current state of the company?
Add to that one worse one. They pushed back Elio for 15 months.
Yep.
So Disney Animation took their entire animation department, or their animators, to a union as of yesterday. They all voted to unionize.
The production workers, yeah.
Yeah, you have a lot of things going the wrong way in Disney when it comes to animation, and perhaps they may have realized that making all these sequels isn't helping them at all.
So this needs to be pointed out. They admitted in their investor meeting where they said they were going to do $60 billion worth of stuff in the parks. There was a line item in there where they said, well, at Pixar right now, we don't have a lot of experienced talent. So what we're doing is giving them franchises that are familiar in order for them to cut their teeth and to make it as easy for them to succeed as possible. Okay, well, is that not an admission that they are not going to have the quality that they need, and that these sequels are just going to be cash grabs?
Yeah.
Yes, they are. Absolutely. And folks, just like those Christmas presents, this thing is wrapped. It's got a bow on it, and we are so happy to have delivered it to you. Folks, you can also help us out if you click that like button, share, subscribe, and when you click it, you stick it to the algorithms. It's the notification bell. Drop a comment down below. Let us know your thoughts. What are you seeing as you go out there and get your shopping on? We'd love to hear from you. We covet your comments. We care about what you think, truly. Folks, don't forget that the Pro Show is live Thursdays, 5 to 7 p.m. Eastern Time. You don't want to miss it. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun.